Hello everybody, welcome once again. This is your boy Yason here back again with another YouTube tutorial. So in this tutorial, we're going to build this kind of amazing uh, alien apps. So this is only whatever login page using HTML and CSS. So we are going to apply some background animation. As you can see in the end product, we have some cool background animation. And this background animation, we are going to use only the CSS and JavaScript to achieve such a beautiful background animation and such a nice effects on the web page. We are going to use CSS to get all those ones. This is a basic and beginner friendly project. We are going to build it from scratch, and I'm going to go step by step on everything we are going to learn and everything we are going to write in this code. So as you can see, if I click on this alien logo here, or I click on this button, it will show for me it will reveal for me the password and the username. And here I can type now the password. As you can see, there's some cool transition and animation going on there. I can type the name here as Yason, and then the password also. If I can type 1 2 3 4 5, then if I click on this small button, it will reveal for us. It will show for us our password in a text format. And then if I click on it, and it will what? It will revert it into password format. So if I click on login, and then you get an alert here saying welcome alien. So this is what we are going to achieve in this tutorial, and I think this tutorial is going to be nice. It is going to save your knowledge on JavaScript and CSS for all beginners and even advanced developers or advanced web developers who wanted to make a beautiful animations using JavaScript and CSS. This video is for you. So without further ado, let's get started and dive into our coding environment. So here I have VS Code open, and as you can see, I have a folder called tutorial. In this folder of tutorial, I have three files, which is index.html, script.js, and then style.css. In our style.css, we have only this basic code. In our HTML, I have these also basic codes. Here I link JavaScript, our JavaScript file, and then here I linked our style.css file. So this is just the boilerplate, and in our JavaScript file, JavaScript is actual empty, and we are going to modify. We are going to create everything from scratch in this tutorial, so that you can get what we are doing actually in this tutorial. So let's get started by building our project. I'm going to declare two divs or two sections in our body tag. So I'm going to say section. In this section, I'm going to give it a class of main bg. So this is the first section, and then the second section, I'm going to give it a class of container. So in our first section, we are not going to put anything since this one is going to be our background, our whole background. So I'm just going to leave it empty. But in the section with the class of container here, I want to put some, I want to put some children inside it. So I'm going to put only two children. I'm going to say with the class of pass ID or ID pass, like that, which is for the password. And then inside this child, but before declaring that, I have to create another child here, and then this child is going to have the class of validate fields, validate hyphen fields. Perfect. So inside this class of ID parts, I want to display a head to tag here, and then I'll grab this icon here, this emoji. I'll just place it here. Perfect. So after that one, I want to now declare a div for our data, for the password data now. So I'm going to say article and then give it a class of id hyphen data, like that. So we want to now display head 3, which you can display for us the name, the username, and the password. So I'm going to say head 3 and then the name. So I'm going to put the name here as Yason with a small letter, and then the password. One, two, three, four, five. So this is all what we want in our first child. In our first child here, this is all what we want. So in our second child, I'm going to first display header that display for that show for us our welcoming message. If I come to our end product here, as you can see, this is our welcoming messages. The message, I'm just going to copy it and then come back here. And then I'll paste it here just. Perfect. After this one, this header, I'm going to now get an article. And then this article, I'm going to give it a class of validate hyphen fields hyphen data, like that. So in this article fields data, I want to display the inputs now, but I'm going to give them, I'm going to put them inside the article with a class of fields. Right, inside this article with a class of fields is where I'm going to sort the input, and then the input I'm going to give it a type of text, and then I want to give it a class name, and then the class name is going to be of input name. Perfect. So after giving it the class of input name, I'm going to type a span here. So the span will say enter your name. Perfect. So after the span, I'm going to put a tag of small, and then this tag is going to say name can't be blank. This one is when you're trying to submit the page, or you're trying to submit the form without putting anything in the input. So this one is going to throw this error, name can't be blank. Though we are not going to submit anything to the server, but we are just going to give it the input here with a with an attribute of required. Okay, perfect. So from there, what we want to copy, we want to just copy this code and then duplicate it a few more times. I'm going to copy this one. I'm just going to paste it one more time, and then this one is going to have a class of password here now. Okay, perfect. So this text here in this one, I'm just going to change it to password, and then enter your password. And then password can be blank too. Perfect. So this is what we want in our HTML, but as you can see, we want to apply also this button. We want to get this button. So for us to do that, we have to at least add the button also. So the button is going to be also here. I'm just going to copy this one and then paste it down here. It's going to be inside the field, but instead of this input small and span, I'm just going to say button like that. So in this button, I'm going to give it a value of login, and then I want to give it a type of submit. But remember, we are not going to submit anything to database or what. So this is all what we want in our HTML part. Uh, if I save the file and then open it with live server, then let's give it a minute, a second for it to render for us the rest of the to render for us our display. So as you can see, this is what we have now. Let me maximize the screen. As you can see, this is what we have, and everything is working okay. The reason why you're seeing the text in that grayish color, gray to white color, because in our CSS here, in our CSS file, as you can see, we give it a color of ghost white. So here is where I want to manipulate now. I want to play around with our CSS. Let's open our CSS file and then play around with the stylings. Okay, the first thing I'm going to target the HTML tag, and then I'm going to say overflow X of hidden, and then I'm going to set the scroll behaviors to be smooth, not auto, but smooth. So I'm going to target HTML and then the body. I want to give it here a position of relative, and the background color is going to be both. Then I have to align items to the center too. Perfect. And the last thing we have to add here is the overflow of X to be hidden also. Alright. So after that, let me target now our container. The class of container, I'm going to give it some width. Remember our container, which is our container uh, is this box, this black box. So this is the one we're targeting. So let me come to our CSS. I'm going to give it a class of 350 pixel. I mean a width of 350 pixel. Give it some padding. So the box art is going to be of lime green, which is kind of lightening up. Mm. So the border radius, I'm going to give it some border radius of 15 pixels. Then I want it to be at the top. I'm going to give it a z index of 10. Z index of 10. Then I want to give it a transition. So the transition is going to be of all, but I'm going to use this format 0.19, comma 1.0, 1, and then 0.22, comma 1. And the seconds is going to be of 0.8 seconds. Perfect. Then I'm going to give it a position. Then the position is going to be of relative. Let me save the code and then come to our project here. As you can see, we have a very nice cut here with a background color of black, and then it has some lime box shadow, which is perfect, and this is what we want to achieve actually. So I'm going to now target the h2 tag, the h1, which is our welcoming message. I'm going to say class of validate hyphen fields on the h1. Then in the h1 I want to give it a text aligned to the center. Then I'm going to say margin. Then the margin is going to be from bottom. Margin from bottom of 35 pixels. And then I want margin from top also of 25 pixels. Perfect. Then I want to give it a box shadow. I'm just going to copy this box shadow here and then paste it here. But I want this one, the value to be on 20 pixels. By giving it like that, then I'm going to give it a color. So the color is going to be of also the lime green. So if I save the file and then come to my browser, as you can see, we have our text here, and it has the background color of this. I mean, it has a text color of lime green also here. So let me see this. Why are we getting that background color? So let's now go to the next and then target our field. I'm going to take this class of validate, and then I want the data. Validate data, and then from the data I want to get the fields. fields. I want to give it a position. Then the position I'm going to give it, it is going to be a position of relative. Position of relative. Then I want to give it some width. The width is going to be of 300 pixels. And then I'm going to give it some margin from top, margin from bottom of 35 pixels. Alright, let me save the file, and as you can see, there's now a lot of changes, which is perfect. Alright, so let me target now the input. I'm going to copy this line of code, copy it down here and paste it here. So I want to target the word the input. So in the input, I want to give it some padding. Then the padding is going to go 15 pixels. I want to give it an outline of none. Then I'm going to remove also the border. The border is going to be of none. And then I'm going to give it a background color, transparent. Then I will give it a width of 100%. The border radius 5 pixels. Give it a font size. Then the font size I'm going to give it of 17 pixels. Here I'll just change the border. From none I want it to be of 2 pixels. 2 pixels, and then I'm going to say I want to give it a color, the whatever the format to be solid. I want it to be in a solid format, and then lime green. Let me save the file and then come to our browser, and as you can see, our input they are also showing perfectly. So the next thing is now want to target the spans. I'm going to copy this line also. Then I'm going to target the span. So I'm going to give it a position. Then the position is going to be of absolute. I want to give it from top of 50, top of 50%. And then from left, I'm going to give it a 15 pixels. Let me say left of 15 pixels. And then I want to give it some padding. The padding is going to be of 2 pixels. 2 pixels top and bottom, left and right is going to be of 10 pixels, which is perfect like that. And then I'm going to give it some border radius. Then the border radius, I'm going to give it a border radius of actually this is our span tag. We don't want to give it a border radius, which it cannot make sense here. And even the padding we don't want to give it, but the left and right, the left and top is okay. And for us to get it in a right direction, we want to say the transform to be translate of x, translate of y, I'm sorry, this y axis. and negative 50%. This one will bring the text in the center. We'll see. So in order for us to get it there, let's first give it a font size. I'm going to give it a font size of 16 pixels. 16 pixels. Then I want to give it a text transform to uppercase. To uppercase. Perfect. Then I'm going to give it a transition here. Transition is going to be of 0.5 seconds. Will be okay. And then is like that. Perfect. So after giving it that transition, I'm going to give it a color. The color is going to be gray. I want to use this gray color. So after using this color of grazing, I want the pointer event to be of none. Let me save the file, come here, and perfect. As you can see, we have this kind of grayish color, and that's what we want to achieve actually. So as you can see, we in our product, in our login pages, you can see we have this kind of black box in our text. And if I come back to our H1 here, as you can see, I say box shadow, but this one has to be text shadow because we want the shadow to be at the text, not as a box. So after putting this to text shadow, as you can see, it is looking now good. We have our welcome to our system, and it is the same as this one here. Perfect. Though that font is kind of different, but it is the same as we are expecting. All right. So now the next thing is for us to get now the span. If the input, let me first write a code. I'm going to copy this one down and then paste here. So want to get the fields. I want to get the fields, and then in the fields I want to get all the inputs and then check if the input has a focus. If the input is in focus and the spans also span like this, or we get the validated data. Let me take this one dot here, and then the field, or the field, and then input is invalid. This one now we are checking if the field is invalid. So if it is invalid, you get for us get the span. Oh, so here it is going to disable the span, and then it will throw for us our error. So I'm going to say position. The position is going to be of absolute, and then I want to give it from top. It's going to be from top of 0. Then it is going to be from left of 15 pixel also. 15 pixel from left. In pixels, perfect. Left 15 pixels. All right, like that. So let me come here. After the left, I want to give it some padding and then some border radius. I'm going to give it some padding. And then the padding is going to be from top and bottom of 2 pixels, left and right to be 10 pixels. Alright, so I'm going to give it some border radius, and then the border radius I'm going to give it, it is going to be of 5 pixels border radius. And then I'm going to give it a background color. The background color is going to be of lime. It's going to be of lime green. Perfect. Giving it a color. The color is going to be of black color. Yeah, perfect, amazing. So I'm going to give it a font weight again. Then the font weight is going to be a bold font weight. Then I want the text to be capitalized. So I'm going to set text transform to capitalize like that. Perfect. Then the last one here, I'm going to give it a font size. So the font size, I'm going to specify a font size of 14 pixels. Then I will save the file. Then if I save, as you can see, we have our password, our enter here, our placeholders says enter your password and then enter your name here. So this is what we want to see actually. Perfect. Then from there, I want to now target the small value. For us to do that, let me come here. I'm going to paste the data, the field data, and then I want the fields. And then in the fields, I want to get the small. So what we want to do here, I want to first give it a position of absolute again. Absolute. I want to give it from bottom. I want it to start from bottom. And from bottom, I'm going to give it of negative 20 pixels, negative 20 pixels. That's it. And then I want to give it from left. I want to start from left of 15 pixels, left of 15 pixels. Same like the rest, which is our error message now. And then I want to give it a color. Remember, every color is going to of error is going to be red color. So I'm going to give it a color of red. Then from there, I'm going to give it a font size. The font size is going to be of 17 pixels. I'm going to say 17 pixels. After giving it a font size of 17 pixels, I want to display it to be none. I want it display to be none. It will not show. This one will show when we have an error. So before doing that, let's check it out and see. Perfect, that's it. But that left is kind of big. Let me start from here. Perfect. So it is now looking amazing. So let's uncomment this one out because we don't want to see it currently. And the next thing we want to do, we want to get our button now. I'm going to give this class name and then I will target the fields again, and then in the fields I have the button. So the button, I'm going to give it some basic stylings here also. I'm going to first target the background color. Then I want to give it a background color of lime green, like that. Or then I'll give it a color. The color is going to go black. And after giving it the color black, I want some padding. Padding of 15 pixels. Let me type 15 pixels. So the font weight, I'm going to give it a bold. Some box shadow. I want to give it some box shadow. So it's 0, 0, let's say 20 pixels, and then lime, lime green. Give it some transition. Then the transition is going to be 0.4 seconds is. Then I'm going to give some margin from top. Margin from top is going to be 10 pixels. Let me save the file and then come to our browser. Hit a good refresh here. Perfect. As you can see, our button is now looking the same as this button here. So perfect, that's what we want to see. And the next thing now is for us to play around with our if I can come here in our HTML, what we want the button, the toggle. But as you can see, like in the eye, when I come to this end product here, and then you can see here in the password we have this button, this eye here for revealing and unveiling the password. So this is what we want to add. So for us to add that one, we come in the password place. So I'm going to put it between the span and the small. Here I'm going to say article with the class of toggle, and then I'm going to put here that image. So I'll come to my CSS and then get the class of toggle. So in this class of toggle, what I want to give it some positioning first. I want to say position. So this one is going to be position of absolute. And then it is going to start from the top of 50%. It's going to be of 50%. And then from right, this one is going to be from right of 15 pixels. Right, perfect. Then I want to give it a transform, translate, translate y-axis to negative 50%. Just looking good now. And then I want to give it some width and height. I'm going to give it a width of 30 pixels. I want to give it a height, and the height is going to be of 30 pixels. Then I want to give it a background image. I want to say VG background, then this background image, and this link I'm going to get it from the top here, which is this link here. I'm just going to copy it here and then come back down here. Then I'll paste the link here just. So this is the image you want to use. So after using that background image, you want to give it the background size. So the background size is going to be of cover. Perfect. Then I want to give it a cursor of pointer. Cursor of pointer like this. Let me save the file and then come to our end product. And as you can see, perfect. This is what we want. The image is in a place now. So let's go back. Let's go to some other styling. Perfect. The next thing I want to get is, as you can see, we have the main BG. We have to play around with our main BG and give it some styling too, because that's what we want to show all those animation based on that main BG. So I'm going to come to my HTML and take this class of main BG. I'm going to copy and then come to my CSS here. And then down here is where I'm going to get the class of main BG. I want to give it a position, and then the position is going to be fixed. Its position is going to be fixed. Then I'm going to give it a width of 100%. And then I want to give it a height of 100% also. So after giving it a height of 100%, width of 100%, I want it to start from top of 0, and then even from left of 0 also. Perfect. And then I want to give it a z index. This one is going to give, I'm going to give it a z index of 5. Our container has a z index of 10. So our container is going to be on top of the background. And then I'm going to give it a display of flex. And then I want to give it a justify content. Let me come here, justify content to the center, align items to the center. Then flex wrap for the responsiveness. I want to give it a flex wrap of wrap. Then I'll give it some gaps. So the gaps is going to be of 20 pixels. If I save the file, you cannot see anything, any changes yet. But this one we are going to manipulate it in our JavaScript. So let's give this main background a class of active. If the main background has a class of, let me say, block. If this block, want to give the block a width, and then this width is going to be of 50 pixels, and then want to give it a height also. The height, I'm going to give it a height of 50 pixels also. So perfect, this is what we want. And then I'm going to just give it some styling like border radius, and then the border radius is going to be of 20 pixels, but 5 pixels will be okay. 20 is very big. And then want to give it a box shadow. So the box shadow is going to be of this color code, which is 5 pixels, 5 pixels, 8 pixels, then the RGB code, RGBA, and then 0, 0, 0, 0.6. So this is the RGBA code we are using, and then I'm going to give it a background color. The background color is going to be black. Okay. Then I want to give it some opacity. Then opacity is going to be 0.5. This is the opacity I'm going to use. Then I want to give it some transition. Transition, I'm going to give it a transition of 0.2 seconds, and then is like this. Perfect. So let me save the file, and right now you cannot see anything. So let's head into our JavaScript and then do some looping stuffs, then see how it is going to be. So the first thing I'm going to target this class of main. It is the one I want to target. I'm going to target it in our JavaScript. I'm going to say let this class of main I'm just going to call it main equals to document dot query selector, and then I'm going to select the class of main bg. Okay, so from there I want to loop through. I want to say for let I equals to 1. So if I is less than or equals to 4, if I is less than or equals to 20, let me start with 20. Then I want to increment I plus 1. So this is where we're going to generate our blocks. So I'm going to say I plus plus. So perfect. After doing that one, then want to get now, want to create a block. Want to create a new element, and that element is we're going to inject it inside we're going to inject the element inside our main bg. So for us to do that, we are going to say let dynamic, I'm going to say dynamic block, let dynamic block equals to document, oops, if I can spell, document dot create. Then want to create what? Want to create element, and then the element is going to be of div. So this is the new element we are creating. So when we create this element, want to assign it something. So I'm going to say dynamic block dot class list. So I want to give it a class list. I want to add a class of that class of block. Remember this block, this class of block, we created it in our CSS. So if you come to this CSS, you can see we have this class of block. So it is the one we are creating here now in our JavaScript dynamically. So if we have it now, we want to now get the main and then append this dynamic child. I'm going to say main dot append, and then we're appending the child, and then the child is going to be the dynamic block. Perfect. So if I save this file and then come to our browser, as you can see, we have 20 blocks here. So our end result is, as you can see, the full page has all these blocks. So the total number of the full page is 450. So I'm going to say 450. This one will generate for us 450 blocks. So if I come here, as you can see, we have 450 blocks now. So perfect. After generating that 450, we want to now generate that animation, that layer animation. As you can see, it is running through all the blocks. So that's what we want to achieve now. Okay. To generate that animation, we have to come to our JavaScript and then create a new function, and then this function I'm going to say function, I'm going to say animate. So in this animate function, I want to first get the blocks. I'm going to say get blocks equals to document dot query selector, and then I want to select the what? I want to select the block, the class of block. So I'm getting now the class of block here. By getting the class of block, I want to make some calculation of mathematics here. I'm going to say let number equals to maths dot flow. And then the mass.flow is going to take the random, and then it is going to multiply it by the number of blocks we have gotten here, the number of the block. So we say we get block, but we want its length. Perfect. So after getting its length, the next thing here I want to know, get the what? Want to get the main value, the main variable here. I'm going to say main, and then no, I want to get the block first, and then I will assign the what? The main now. I'm going to say get blocks because this is the block, and then I want to get its array, the number of the block we are getting, and then want to add a class, and then the class name we want to add it. I want to toggle between the class of active. I would say toggle, and then we are toggling between the class of active. So we don't have that class of active, and as you can see, we didn't call our function. So for us to get the function working, we have to set an intervals, and then the function is going to run in the intervals of 10. So I'm going to call our function, and then in the intervals of 10 we want our function to run. So this one, as you can see, after putting this one, the animation will just keep on running randomly. And if I come to the end result, there is no animation here, but the reason is because we didn't have the class of active yet in our CSS. So we have to come to our CSS and give some styling of active. So what do we want to do now? We want to add the class of actives to the main background or main BG. I'm going to say main BG, and then I want to get each block. So in the block, I want to get the active class, and then I'm going to give it a background color now. So the background color is going to be here of lime green. After giving it the background color of lime green, I want to give it an opacity. The opacity is going to be of 1, and then I will give it a box shadow. So the box shadow is going to be of 0, 0, 20, and then lime green. So if I save the file, there's nothing going to happen because we messed up in our JavaScript. We have blocks, but here, as you can see, we are getting only one block. So we have to use the get all block like this function. Then you can see our animation has started popping up, and as you can see, everything is running as expected, like this one too. Perfect. Yeah, as you can see now, we have our animation is now taking effect, and it is the same as this one, as the end product. So the next thing is now for us to work with this header. As you can see, our password, they are here showing, but we want it to be in this format. In this format whereby you can click this one, and then it will display for you the password. So this one here, it's the one we want to work on, and then let's come back now to our VS Code, and then open our style sheet. So in our style sheet, what we want to get now, we want to get the password, the ID pass. Remember, we have the class of ID pass in our HTML here, ID pass. So this ID pass is the one we want to target now. I'm going to copy it and then come to our CSS. I'm going to paste it here. So the first thing, I want to give it a width. I'm going to give it a width and height. of 60 pixels, height of 60 pixels. Perfect. Then I want to give it a background color. The background color is going to be of lime green, like that. I want to give it a border radius. So the border radius is going to be of 50%, which is going to be cycle. If I save this file and then I come here, as you can see, it is there. It is taking effect now. Okay. So let me give it some positioning. I'm going to give it a position of absolute here. Position of absolute. And then I want to give it top. From top, I want it to start from negative 32 pixels. So after giving it that one, I'm going to give it now some box shadow. So this box shadow, I want it to be kind of rounded, but it's going to be inset. And what I mean is like this. I'm going to put 00, then 20 pixels, then the color of the box shadow. It is first it is going to be of black color. Alright. So after that, I want the border to be from inside. From inside, I want it to be of negative 5 pixels, negative 5 pixels, negative 5 pixels again, and then 15 pixels. So I want this RGBA code now. I'll give it RGBA code. So the RGBA code we want to use is this one, but I'm going to change it to 7. So let me come and then bring this one in a new line, hit tab. Perfect. Let me save this file and then I come here. As you can see, our whatever, our box there, it is now looking rounded and it is looking the same as this one. So we have to give it some alignment to the center. I want to bring it to the center here, and for us to do that, we are going to select. We're going to select. Left is going to be of 50 also. It is going to be 50%. And then I'm going to give it the translate from translate from x-axis of negative 50, so that it will be at the center, negative 50%, like that. Perfect. And then I'm going to display everything to be flex, display to be flex, then alignment of item to be in the center, justify content, and then I want to justify everything to be in the center also. I want the cursor to be pointer. Perfect. So I want to give it some transition. I'm going to give it a transition of 0.5 seconds, and then it is going to be eased in and out. It's going to be eased in and out like that. So if I save the file and then I come back to my end product, and as you can see, perfect. Everything is now in the center, but want to give it some more styling to look the same as this one here. Oops, this one here. All right. For us to do that, let's come back to our styling. So I'm going to now to take this ID pass, and then I want to add this pseudo of before it. I want to add a content, so the content is going to be of click. It is going to say click, like that. So after giving that one, I'm going to give it a position. The position is going to be of absolute, position of absolute, and then I want to give it from the top 50% from the top. And then I want to give it a translate translate from y-axis of negative from 50%, negative 50%, perfect. And then I want to give it from left, has to be of 50 pixels. It is going, let me give it negative because I want it to go negative side, the left hand side. So it is going to be of negative 50. And then I want to give it some background color. I'm going to give it background color. The background color is going to be of lime green also. Then I'm going to give it a color. Then the color I'm going to give it as black. Perfect. So after giving that color of black, I want to give it some border radius. Border radius is going to be of 5 pixels, something small. Then I'm going to give it some font weight now. And then the font weight is going to be absolutely bold. Perfect. So let me give it some padding and box shadow. I'm going to say padding, and then the padding is going to be from top and bottom of 2 pixels, left and right to be 8 pixels, and then box shadow. So the box shadow, I'm going to give it a kind of black color. I'm going to say 0, 0, and then 5 pixels, then the black shadow color. If I save this one, and as you can see, we have this beautiful click button here. So this is what we achieved by using those ones, by using the stylings. So the next thing is now to display to hide our text there. So this text, as you can see, we have the name there, the password, that's the text we want to, that's the text we want to hide. I'm going to come back here, and then I'm going to get the class of ID pass, and then I want the data. So the first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to give it a visibility of hidden. Visibility of hidden, perfect. And then display of none. Then I want to give it a width. Then the width is going to be of 100%. Alright, after giving it a width of 100%, I want to give some animation. But before the animation, we have to declare keyframes. So let's come to our end result. As you can see, this is our end result. Everything is looking perfect, and it is actually the same as this one. So there's no difference now. And this is what we're expecting to see. So the next thing is want to give it some animations. I'm going to come to my animation, to my CSS and then give some animation to it. So to give animations, the first thing you have to use the keyframes in CSS. And then then add the animation name. All right. So the animation name I'm going to say data data animate. So you can call it whatever you want to call. I just call it data animate, and then I'm going to say from. So from is a one that transform, translate y-axis to be of negative 10% here, and then opacity here will be of 0. Opacity will be 0 to. Then I'm going to reverse this one, copy it and then paste here. The transform translate will be of to 0, and opacity here will be 1. Perfect. So for us to use this animation, we have to come here to our data, and then I'm going to call the animation here. I'm going to say animation, then the animation name, which is data animate. Perfect. So if I save the file and then I come back to my browser, you can see there's nothing happening because this one is not clickable first. So we have to first work around with it. I'm going to come back here, and then I will take the ID pass and then give it the class of active. Alright. Then I'll take the ID pass again, data. ID pass data. I'll give it a visibility. Here I want it now to be all visible. So I'm going to come here and then give it visibility of visible, and then display of block. Display of block. Perfect. So as we have now the display of block, next thing for us to do is at least to make it clickable, and then when we click on it, we show the whatever, we show the content inside it. So for us to do that, we have to utilize our JavaScript, and then I'm going to just copy this class and then come to our JavaScript here. After this interval, I'm going to say let ed pass equals to document dot query selector. So I want to select this. After getting it, then what I want to do, I want to say first let id pass data equals to document dot query selector. And then what we want to select now, we want to select the id pass underscore class of id pass underscore data. It is the one we want to select. So after selecting it, the next thing we want to do, we want to add event listener to our id pass here. So to do that, I will come down here and then say id pass but add event listener. So the event listener we are going to add, it is going to be of click event. So when we click it, want to run the function, and this is going to be an inline function, callback function. So this function is going to take the id pass dot class the class list, the toggle. So want to toggle now between the what? The active class we declare in our CSS. So if I save this file and then come to the browser and then I click on this, as you can see, it is now showing for us our text. Now from there, we can toggle between it and it can show for us our text. The next thing is now to give it some styling for the text to come smoothly. So for that one, we have to open our CSS file and then again play around with our CSS. I'm going to come to our CSS file and then in the CSS file, what we want to first do, um, I want to give this one, I want to give this ID pass data. I want to give it a class of active, not the ID pass data, but the ID pass. I want to give it a class of active also, ID pass, and give it a class of active. So if it is active, I want to give it a width, and then the width is going to be of 280 pixels. Perfect. And then after giving it that width of 280 pixels, I want to say the border, and then its border, it's going to be the border radius, I'm sorry, border hyphen radius, and its border radius is going to be 15 pixels. Then I'm going to say padding. I'm going to give it some padding of 15 pixels also. So let me save the file and then come to our browser. Let me click this on. As you can see, it is now giving us what we want. So the next thing is now want to give it the H2 and then H3. Want to give it some styling, some font sizes and all those. But for that issue, for that case, it is not a big deal. It is just playing around now with the font size, font styling of this one. But as you can see, our end product is working okay. And that's what we are expecting actually to get the same as this one here. But for this one, it is just a matter of now changing the color. As you can see, the color here is black and then here the text color is white. So it's just a matter of you playing now around with the colors and then modify it for by your choice. And if this video is really nice and you really learned something new, please give me a like, share, and subscribe to my YouTube channel. That one really helps a lot and that one motivates me to create such an amazing content to you guys. Bye bye for now.